Welcome back. That was loud. I'm sorry, but welcome back. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday. We've got another night of the Fucker News Network. Once again, on Thursdays, the show's a little bit shorter than normal. That's because I have lots and lots that I still have to do for the rest of the night. But tonight, we've got some good footage to go over. We've got a lot of updates. And I promised somebody in the chat that I wouldn't run Bayraktar to start the stream. That being said, I can't account for our intern, Vincent. The guy's kind of a... He does what he wants. But I'm happy you're here because there's plenty for us to talk about. Tonight's sponsor, I don't have a pinned comment for. The pinned comment and the sponsor for tonight is us. Please make sure you're downloading the app so we can keep in touch with you. Make sure that you have notifications turned on for the app as well. You will have to sign up for an account for it, but that's not our fault. That's Apple and Google's fault. If it was up to us, we wouldn't have to do that. But we do. Because our content, some of it can be considered a little bit not safe for work. So because of that, Google and Apple require us to have an account wall there. Anyway, we're going to be jumping right into the footage. And again, for those that are just joining us, I promised that I wouldn't play Bayraktar, but I can't account for, other folks that are on the staff. They kind of do what they want.
Bayraktar.
Welcome back. He almost had that playing more than once, Vincent. What a jerk. What a jerk. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just now joining us, please do me a favor and tap on the like button. I'm a little bit behind getting ready for the stream today because today's my daughter's birthday, and she got her first nice custom-built PC that her dad put together for her. She's awesome. She's 10. And she's a princess, and you can't tell me anything about it. We're jumping right into the footage, though, because we only got about an hour to spend tonight. I appreciate you being here, and thank you to the person out there that put my name, or us, in the same sentence as Donut Operator. That's cute, and we love him. Love you. All right, we're jumping right in here. The very first video that we've got is coming from Will Kilmore. So Willie posted this one, and it's going to be a BTR-4. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of footage of the BTR-4, and the BTR-4 is more or less a Ukrainian-designed version of the BTR that has a few modifications from the earlier BTR 60s and 80s, etc. It's a little bit more modular, but we're going to get a bird's-eye view of the BTR-4, kind of hammering away on Russian positions during the Battle of Mariupol. We are going to be hitting the campaign map tonight. We're not going to spend as much time on it as we have in the past. There are only a few key important updates that we have yet to really cover, specifically a few new priorities for Russia. But let's jump right into the first piece of footage here. I'm going to give you full screen on it coming up. That's not my music. That is the music in the video. And again, that is Russian armor that this BTR is engaging with its 30 millimeter. It's somewhere down here off screen to the right. All right. Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of footage of the BTR-4 though. At least confirmed footage. And that one was really good. The sources as of? Yes. Yes, it was. Laser bolts? Yeah, this Star Wars game's weird. Star Wars game's weird. The next thing we're going to jump into tonight was actually a story that popped not too long ago, where 7 buses were reportedly dropping off some Russians that were forced to dig in and around Chernobyl. Well, there's footage now that shows some of those trenches and fighting positions that they had been building near Chernobyl, where obviously there is still radiation, at least to some degree. 7 or so buses, you guys are welcome to correct me, that was a couple weeks ago or maybe last week, that dropped off just a slew of Russian soldiers at the hospital. And this one was posted by Josh on the site. Coming up for you guys here right now. Hey guys, before the video starts... That's Ronnie talking right there. About the gun box. It's a great product. You should check it out. Let's take a look at these fighting positions and trenches. Coming up for you guys right now. There it is. Keep hitting the wrong damn button tonight. I don't know what it is. I like I've been doing this for a few years. So what they're doing right now is panning to show you essentially where the reactor core and all of that stuff was. These are those fighting positions and trenches that were dug out by the Russians while they were occupying the space. Josh's article on this is absolutely hilarious, by the way. So if you haven't seen the article, and I'll give you guys a link to this video directly. If you haven't read Josh's article, please go do that. Hilarious. Why are some clips so short? It depends on how we find them. Sometimes, later on we'll find longer versions of those clips and we'll go back and we'll edit it, update it, that kind of stuff. Just depends on what we find. We scour just about everywhere, top to bottom, Telegram, Reddit, wherever. Submissions. We're getting a lot of submissions now through the Funker530 submission form. Just go to funker530.com/submit. And you're welcome to send us in footage that you find or that you see and come across, or your own footage. And if it is your own footage, give us that detail, give us that background, tell us the unit. Let us tell your story. Let us tell your story. 50,000 people used to live there? Yeah, they probably didn't dig, though. All right, let's move on. The next footage we're going to take a look at is, so we've kind of been poking a little bit of fun at the Chechens. You know, we've been calling them TikTok Battalion because it seems as though just about every piece of footage that comes out of the Chechens, you know, they have the name the TikTok Battalion. It's just them shooting at windows and lampposts, stoplights. But we actually have some close combat footage with the Chechens. Specifically, you can hear rounds coming in, the snaps, etc., of them deploying what looks like an RPG. Coming up for you guys right now.
Allah Akbar.
Again, these are the Chechen fighters, colloquially known as the TikTok Battalion, and it is in Mariupol. Have you seen the Ukrainian troops kill the Russian troops? Yes. Yes, I have. TikTok Battalion. Well, you know, quite honestly, the majority of the footage that we've seen of Chechens is really just like battle drill type stuff, right? Very one-sided kind of footage. Just reading through chat here. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of comments along the lines of, have you seen the video of Ukrainians shooting Russian soldiers in the kneecaps and stuff like that? Yes, we have. Where's the combat in that? Show me the combat footage there. That's an atrocity. And Ukraine is responsible for that. Right? Every once in a while during an ambush or, you know, at the end of an engagement, there'll be some dead bodies, right? Or we'll show some aftermath footage. But the intent of that is to never just show outright atrocities, outright gore. We are not a gore site. We're not. If you'd rather just go and see gore, there are other places for you to do that. Eat my Switchblade TikTok. Let me scroll down here. There were a few members that came in while we were away. Steve, thanks for the membership. Joseph, thank you for the membership. Grima, Thane, Eric, SC SWAT, and the Collier Report. Thank you for becoming members. Welcome to the Funkers. How many prisoners do you think each side takes after any engagement? Depends on which reports you believe. Hey, Michael, I see you. The people who want to see heads cut off are sick in the mind. We get asked all the time. You know, we'll show like an ambush of some kind that doesn't show a whole lot of aftermath. And they're like, I can't see shit. I want to see somebody get blown up. It's like, well, go find that video somewhere else. Right, we're here to showcase combat footage. We are. That's our function. It's our mission. It's what we do. If in the process of us showing valuable combat footage that helps people understand the way militaries are engaging each other, the way a fight actually looks, if in the process of us doing that, we end up showing you a dead body, that's war. But we're not here to perpetuate as much as possible. And I shouldn't say propaganda because a lot of the footage that we even have on the site is propaganda from both sides, Ukrainian and Russian. We're not here to propagate gore porn. We're not. That's not our function. Are the super deadly elite Syrians there yet? You know, the last report I read about them was that they started denying at a unit level Russia's requests to get involved. right? Even at the individual soldier level, they started saying things along the lines of, I got to check with my boss's cousin's mother before I can, suit up and head over there. It is good to see how it really is, though, but I get it. Yeah, so let's kind of stick on this for a second. Right, a great example of what I'm talking about. A great example is we had somebody in chat on Tuesday night. Tuesday night we had somebody in chat and they were like, "How come?" Or excuse me, they weren't in chat. They posted to last stream's comments after the live video, and they said, "How come I can find videos of dead Ukrainians?" But I don't see those anywhere on Funker 530. Well, that's not what we're here to show you. We're not here to show you just a bunch of dead Ukrainians. We're not here to show you a bunch of dead Russians. If in the process of watching combat footage, we see a Ukrainian fall or we see a Russian fall, we will show it to you. We will. The Gore fans tend to be the biggest trolls. Keep up the better presentation that you all do. Thanks, Calico Jack, for the 1313, brother. I appreciate that. Here's the deal with us: is we recognize that me personally, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the guys. I'm just one of 6 guys that currently works at Funker 530 that works on this effort that we have. For me personally, it matters very much so what we show. It does. It does. If we posted every piece of footage that we came across, we would be no different than LiveLeak. We would not. We wouldn't be any different. Right? There's a way to go about showing people what combat and what war looks like without just being, a gore site. It reminds me of my grandmother, the way he's looking at the camera over his glasses. What if I put him way down like this? How's that? Is that better? What if we get real close? All right, let's jump back into the footage, guys. Let's jump back into the footage. Let's check out some footage of an N-Law. So this is a very danger close N-Law engaging a Russian tank at close range. I should just say Russian armor. It's really hard for us to discern what type of armor this is. Right? The footage is a little grainy. It's one of those instances of somebody recording a recording of the footage. But the standoff is what I'm mostly interested in here. Just wait. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean by that. Funker, why are we funding a Nazi Ukrainian group Azov? We are funding the Ukrainian military. And I shouldn't say we because I'm not. I didn't send any money to the Ukrainian military. Well, we are funding the Ukrainian military, which is a sovereign nation, a non-member ally of NATO, defend themselves from a foreign power that has invaded their land. Right? This kind of goes back to the ghost question. Right? Why are you wearing a shirt or a hat of something that's fake? It doesn't matter if it's fake. I'm showing my support for the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian military. I absolutely support the Ukrainian military in this. You can't even make the argument, well, Russia was already there. Russia wasn't in Kyiv. They do have units. Azov's done some bad shit according to, what's openly available. They have history. Let's just put it that way. Now, do we have any control over who Zelensky or who his top generals send that aid to? From a unit perspective, they're still defending the ground in Ukraine. I'm not defending Azov. I'm just looking at this from a top-level perspective. Right? Keep in mind, Funker 530 did not send Azov anything. Are you self-censoring? I am. I was told I need to watch my mouth. Jump into the footage. This is an N-Law, very close range, targeting some form of Russian armor. Coming up for you guys right now. I'm going to give you full screen. Pay close attention to about right in here. There it is. Now, the sound effects make it for me. Our host. It's actually down here. That's pretty close. It's pretty close. From a location perspective on this one, I don't have a whole lot of details on a location here. Don't have a whole lot of details on a location. So many Russian bots in chat. No, I mean, they're not all bots. If you believe that we don't have Russian bots in the chat, you're absolutely out of your mind. I was taken offline 3 times when we started doing the live shows via DOS. And I can pull up the router logs, right? We were taken offline, for those of you that were here for that. So if you believe there aren't Russian bots in the chat, you're very mistaken. That being said, not as many of them are. There are people with just dissenting opinion. I ask you guys to think about this, though. Do you have a dissenting opinion just for the simple fact that you want to have a dissenting opinion at this point? Like, is that why? Because I would love to better understand everybody that has been in the chat in the past that has said things like, don't believe what, you know, Ronnie or Funker or the mainstream media tell you. Russia's winning this war. Then why did they take away all of their combat power from Kyiv, Chernihiv, and Sumy Oblast? Why have they unasked themselves from the north? You want to know why? Because they were getting their ass kicked. That's why. That's why. They were. That is me saying that I am, you know, at the altar of Ukraine. No, they're not. Ukraine isn't some bastion of democracy. If I had to choose which one would you rather support, I would say Ukraine. Ukraine didn't invade Russia. They didn't invade Russia. Just checking in here. Azov Battalion are heroes. Some people just hate the West. They're resupplying. So they're giving up. Let's go to a campaign map. Let's go to a campaign map. And if you believe that they gave up this much territory just to resupply, interesting take. Interesting take. Let's look at this. And this is a non-government entity that has put this campaign map together. That's why I love it. That's the North. That's the North. Red would indicate Russian occupation. So you mean to tell me that the entirety of the Russian combat power that was here in the north has vacated, has unasked that AO so that they can resupply and then have to retake that AO? I wouldn't call it a Ukrainian victory in the north either, though. Remember, Russia has been withdrawing, so Ukraine is really just taking that territory back. Do you think they came out of the north so they could start to drop tactical nukes? No. I think they came out of the north. That's not going to work either. We're going to go full screen. I think they came out of the north to try and essentially consolidate combat power in the east. Right? To consolidate combat power in the east. They had too many fronts open. They were unable to communicate effectively. We've seen those reports, right? Using cell phones to communicate with each other, getting their generals killed. They were unable to control logistics. Beans and bullets matter a lot more than, you know, the sexy stuff would lead you to believe. Your sexy special operations forces can't do shit if they don't have anything to shoot. Right? But Russia was unable to provide basics like fuel, food, water. And they were unable to do that because of the amount of fronts that they had opened and a broken logistics system that they have. My very first story time. My very first unit, and I'm rusty on it. My very first unit in the military was a logistics unit, 55th Sustainment Brigade. right? My first deployment in 2013 was transitioning logistics from us back to the Afghans. And I learned a lot about logistics in that time, right? And one of the things I remember doing is I remember sitting down with this senior loggy guy, and he was explaining to me the difference between like a Russian push system versus an American pull system. The way a logistics system works in Russia is essentially, and basically, this is very, very basic, they tell you what you need. That's the equivalent of me going to my daughter and saying, hey, you need more Q-tips today. And she's like, no, I have a whole thing of Q-tips. I actually need cotton swabs. I'm like, no, you need Q-tips. Now, in America's system, we have, you know, a different way that it works, right? If I need X, Y, or Z, I request that, right? I am allocated a certain amount of things. I don't have to receive all of those things. Don't give me the whataboutism with, and what is there in Afghanistan now? You know what's there in Afghanistan now? The Taliban. Is that my fault? No. I'm just a guy. I'm a guy in my basement wearing the best shorts. Okay? That's what I am. Command economy versus demand economy. Good way to look at it. But this is kind of what I'm talking about here, right? If you believe that this is by design, that it's by design, they took all of this ground, they lost the amount of troops that they did, because we know at a minimum, as of 2 weeks ago, Russia had at least lost 9,000 troops at a bare minimum. At a bare minimum, it was leaked. It was leaked by Russian media, which immediately deleted it. If you think it wasn't true, why delete it? If it wasn't true, why delete it? Why immediately replace that? So at a minimum, they had lost, you know, as of a couple weeks ago, over 9,000 troops throughout the entirety of Ukraine. So if you believe that they took all of this ground and then we're like, yeah, we did it, guys, let's back out. That's ignorant. That's dumb. That seems dumb to me. Now, I don't consider myself to be any kind of an expert. Just logic dictates that's stupid. I can't believe what you're saying. This is truly embarrassing. Then don't watch it. I don't want you to feel embarrassed. Don't watch it. Listen, we all like to watch different things. You like to watch My Little Pony? I don't. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a problem. Let's go back to the footage. We've got a BTR 82. This is from a Russia perspective. And this was posted by both Will and Josh. One video is just specifically the BTR. Another video is kind of a mashup. We're going to watch the mashup video because it's got a whole bunch of different angles, different pieces of armor, etc. That's going to be coming up for you guys right now. There we go. Keyboard didn't want to work. Why you so hostile? I'm spicy today, man. I'm spicy today. I think I'm still hopped up on like pre-workout and steak. So yeah, I'm spicy. Coming up for you guys right now. Here we go. I'm gonna give you full screen. I'm moving to left. Got it, Josh. I see it. Russia isn't responsible for Bucha. Stop it. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody. This is a Russian perspective. Russian/separatist. All right. So we've got a banger coming up from Josh, and I'm going to give you the title of this one. Before we watch the video. Here's the title. Russian Forrest Gump runs from Ukrainian drone. We're going to play this one direct. Not even off the website. I want the full experience here. It's coming up for you guys right now. I'm not going to be on the video. Yeah, you're going to have full screen here. He's still running. Mama said they was my running shoes. I just started running. We have an NFL draft coming up. I think that's it. Oh! Pay close attention here. This is the first time seeing this. Hold on. All right. So we actually have Russian fighting positions over here. This dude is a little bit mad. He's about to engage. See that rifle come up? Here. You see that rifle? Thanks for that one, Josh. Thanks for. All right, let's take a look at one more. So we talked last Tuesday about Ukrainian artillery and the effectiveness of Ukrainian artillery. And we're about to watch something that's kind of boggled my mind. You know, we've almost repeatedly seen Russian artillery out in the middle of a field. It's just out in the middle of a field. And I'm not an arty guy. I don't know why that would be a thing. If you guys are artillery and you can explain to me why this Russian artillery is sitting out in this field, I'd appreciate it. I don't mean that in jest. That's not a joke. Help me understand. Well, what we're going to watch is Ukrainian artillery engaging Russian artillery while they're trying to set up a firing line. Red Sea Dale, thanks for the 5, man. I'm going to show that comment, Sandra. I'm going to show that comment, and we're going to talk about it. Anybody ask the Ukrainian people what they want, they ask the Russians for help. Hold that thought. I'm spicy today. Running like rats. One of the comments on the site was something along the lines of, anybody else amused with how all the support vehicles are just driving around like chickens with their heads cut off? Kind of are. Where are they going? Work in Moscow or St. Petersburg? Duh. If you're not able to see him, you do have quite a few dismounts that are like slowly moving away here. Right? So we're watching this on a 1440p screen. Obviously, the video is not in 1440, so it's going to be a little bit more pixelated. But there are quite a few ground troops that just start scattering as well. Right, so go check the app out. It might actually be a little bit more clear in the app. All right, let's go back to that comment. Ukrainians asked us to come. Sort of. Maybe even. Here. I can see, and I can't validate that. I don't know that. You don't know that. The only reason you're saying that is because Russia said that. The only reason I'm saying that they didn't ask for Russia to come is because Ukraine said that. Right? It's probably somewhere in the middle. We do know that there is an ethnic Russian population in the east that did want to separate. We know that for certainty. In the east. Luhansk, Donetsk, maybe Crimea? Maybe? Why the f*** are they in Kyiv then? What does Kyiv have to do with Donetsk and Luhansk? What about Chernihiv or Sumy? Or what about the folks out in Lviv? What did they have to do with Donbass? No. The people to the west did not want Russia to be there. I can understand potentially the people in the east, in Donbass, saying, yes, we would like to separate. Does that mean they wanted all of their houses in Donbass to be blown up? They wanted a full-scale invasion of the entirety of Ukraine? Just doesn't make sense to me. And that could be because of my ignorance, right? And I don't use ignorance as any form of, derogatory term. I mean it in its foundation, just not understanding or not knowing. It could be because of my ignorance. I've learned more about Ukraine in the last, just like you guys, the majority of you, I've learned more about Ukraine in the last 6 months than I had ever known. Right? I'm no Eastern Bloc, Russia expert. I'm not. But when something doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me that Russia's occupation up here and then subsequent unassing was part of the plan. That doesn't make sense. I'm going to literally send, tens of thousands of troops in there. 20% of you are going to die, but it's okay because it's part of the plan. That makes sense. Go back to day one when they tried to establish Hostomel Airport as essentially a launching point for incursion into Kyiv, right? The intent, the operations intent in my mind was capture Kyiv while taking as much ground in the southeast as possible, force capitulation as early as possible. But they weren't able to take Kyiv. And then they kept trying to. Even as of just a few days ago. They were trying to cross the Irpin River. If you don't know where the Irpin River is, I can show it to you. It's right here. It's right here. This was essentially the forward line of troops. This is Kyiv. This was the forward line of troops, and they continued to try to press into Kyiv to force Zelensky to negotiate, so that Zelensky had little option than to give up Donbass. That was the intent, but it failed. It failed. They realized it failed, so now what they have to do is they have to take all of that combat power that's remaining from here, and they have to redeploy it. And they are. Let's talk about where they're redeploying it to. So, the new priorities, as they stand according to, quite a few folks that have more time to spend looking at multiple sources than I do. That's one of the reasons that I focus specifically and primarily on Institute for Study of War, along with a few other Twitter sources that you guys have been shared as well. Current priorities are Izyum and Slovansk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but let's take a look at a map for that. First, we'll look at where that is on a campaign map, on an overall map, and then we'll dive in. Let me get this pulled up here. Enjoy a message from our sponsor while I'm doing this. All right, welcome back. So, let's talk about where they're redeploying that combat power to. You've become fake news, then don't watch it. Don't watch it. It's okay. It's okay. So, we talked about this Tuesday night. Where are all of these troops going? Now, the redeployment is really taking place here. Here. Supporting the Kharkiv and Izyum effort. Right? Let's look a little bit closer. And we talked about this on Tuesday, that this is primarily one of the places that they were going to redeploy power to. Just so you guys know, anything in blue, for those that aren't familiar with ISW's maps, are Ukrainian counteroffensives. We're gonna get to this one down here in just a minute. Let's come in a little bit closer here. Now, we talked about two options, really. Hold on. I'm just going to go full screen here. I'm going to give you full screen. We talked about two options, right? The chance that this breakout continues southward to connect with the line of effort near Mariupol to fix all of these Ukrainian positions in place. Now, there is an easier, faster likelihood that this breakout begins to meet here, then you also have fixed this entire area of Ukraine, right? But these are the two priority fights that are happening right now, and it's assessed by at least ISW and Homini of the West that this is the primary effort now, right? Not including the battle for Mariupol. Mariupol is starting to fall. Starting to fall. I wouldn't want to be inside of that circle. No. I wouldn't want to be in Mariupol. Most of the footage we've watched today has been from Mariupol. You know, just a couple days ago, there was almost no contested region or claimed Russian-controlled region. It was all very kind of clear forward line, forward lines. But Azov is, at least from my understanding, mostly in the east of Mariupol here. I wouldn't want to be in Odessa. I mean, Odessa's pretty far separated at this point. The biggest thing to worry about in Odessa is indirect, right? Coming from the sea. Nowhere in Ukraine is really all that safe. Russia continues to kind of to strike very deep into Ukraine. All right, one or two more pieces of footage that I wanted to get to here. We're kind of diving too far down, I think. It's not really the focus of the stream. The stream is really just to connect with you guys, show you some of the footage, have a laugh where possible. Why have the Russian landing craft not landed? Probably because they don't have any support structure. They would have no support structure there, right? And we were talking about that a few weeks ago. Hold on, let's just jump right back in so I can explain what I mean by that. We were talking about that a few weeks ago. The lack of any kind of logistics or communication support structure in Odessa would ultimately strand this unit. They would be stranded, enveloped, right? Now, you do have limited support in Transnistria. I've been talking about Transnistria since, I don't know what, day one, day two. And the attempts to continue to press west to potentially involve Transnistria's troops. Now, if Transnistria did decide to essentially just start to press for Odessa, they did land, for some form of amphibious assault. They might be able to capture it, but then, you're really reliant on sea support, right? But when Mykolaiv, and this is actually a very recent development, Ukraine has actually done a couple counteroffensives towards Kherson. Russia was never able to take Mykolaiv. They were never able to take it. They did get up to about here near Novo Odessa, but then began getting pressed back again, and that's largely because they had just too many fronts open. They could not supply their troops. They couldn't communicate. All of those things that you expect a peer adversary to be able to do. Nobody for president 2024? Nope. None of them. None of them. All right. I got one or two more pieces of footage that I wanted to show you guys. This is Russian perspective coming out of the Ministry of Defense. The Russian Ministry of Defense showing a drone strike on Ukrainian artillery. We don't have exact location details on this, but we will take a look at it here. It's coming up for you guys. It's pretty solid quality too. Now, I've noticed this comment a couple times. What we haven't seen a whole lot of is more Bayraktar footage. They didn't have a whole lot of Bayraktars. Something to remember. I think the original purchase for those was what, 6? 6 Bayraktars? All right. And then one more. And these are Ukrainian trenches taking direct arty hits. Gonna get this one pulled up for you guys. Here we go. Coming up. I'll give you full screen. All right. Let me just check my notes to see if there's anything else that I wanted to cover tonight. We talked about successful counteroffensives towards Kherson, offensive operations near Izyum. They have completely vacated Sumy. We covered that quite a bit. Now here's an interesting report. We've talked from day one about the lack of on ground footage, and I mean helmet cam, cell phone cam, what have you, in the hands of Russian soldiers. Well, there were reports now that Russia is cracking down even further by restricting, even beyond what they had, internet access for some of their Russian soldiers towards not just the front line, but those that are in Ukraine as well. Once again, taking cell phones, taking away the ability to communicate outwardly. We've been talking about the information war, the propaganda war, if you will, and Ukraine is absolutely winning that on the global scale. They are. Downloaded the app. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for that. Thank you, White Lines, for becoming a member. Welcome. Xavier, thank you for the $4.99. Mariupol still holding out despite Russia and separatists having air, ground, and sea superiority over a month. So even a lot of those think tanks that I try and follow have mentioned that the Mariupol defenders have kind of held out longer than anybody could have expected them to. With just the amount of combat power that's just looming over top of them, they're still swinging. It's pretty amazing to watch. Mike Echo, thanks for becoming a member. Steve, thank you for becoming a member. Guys, if you've become a member, make sure you get in the Discord. That's where you guys are, at least for the Funker membership level and up. Make sure you guys get in the Discord because that's where you're going to get your merch discounts for shirts like the Bayraktar shirt, the Danger Baseball, regular Funker merch, our hats. So jump in the Discord, make sure your YouTube and your Discord are connected, and it'll all be automated, and you'll see a merch membership discount channel. Things are not what they seem to be. What do you mean? That's kind of a vague statement. Hey, Funker, how are you, buddy? That's Funker. That the individual typing behind the Funker name there is the founder of our channel. What do you think Russia's manpower losses are currently numbered? It's hard to say. And it really depends on which source you go by, right? I mean, it's beyond... The U.S.'s number for Russia losses is 10,000 plus, right? Somewhere around 10,000 plus. And this is going based off of Khomeini. I'll show this to you guys. And I'll give you a link to it. This is what we're about to look at. Go follow Khomeini of the West. And then let's take a look at his numbers that he has listed here, and the sources. I love somebody that gives us sources. So for Russian armed forces, he states that the Russian government has said 1,351 killed. Careful not to step in the bullshit. Way more than that. The U.S. says about 10,000 plus killed. Vague, but probably pretty accurate. Probably closer to the real number. The NATO estimate of 30 to 40,000 feels high to me. That feels high to me. I would say we're probably closer to the U.S. and the Ukrainian government estimates. Probably between there somewhere. Between there. So between 10,000 and 18,000. No, it says fatalities. These are fatalities, not casualties. Funker, you need to keep this neutral, not celebrate or laugh about killing Outh souls. This is not good. When did What? Thank you. DPR are honest? Okay. U.S. estimates are killed. NATO is casualties. David, I think you're right. I think when I read that 30 to 40K report, it was speaking specifically to casualties. But I think we're probably still somewhere between 10 and 18,000. Now, dependent upon how the fight near Izyum goes, how the fight in and around Kherson goes, I think Russia might just try to dig in here to the southwest. But I think things are just about to start kicking off for a new press from the east and the northeast. Again, and this goes back over a month. These Ukrainian positions are at risk of being fixed in place and enveloped. Right? Especially with the press towards and past Izyum once it happens. What's the end story in Ukraine? All said and done? Another one that's hard to say. You know, we were talking early on about how we have likely seen the last, geographically speaking, of the Ukraine that the world knew leading up to February 24th of 2022. At some point, there's a reason that we have the poll that we do. At some point, we are either going to go back to the ceasefire with Donbass with at least Luhansk and Donetsk separatist controlled along with Crimea, or in order to essentially stop the invasion, stop the press and, continued war, we see those officially handed over. Now, here's where the problem is. Here's where the problem, that's quite obvious, but I don't think there's a scenario where Ukraine comes out of this hole with Luhansk, Donetsk, and or Crimea in Ukrainian hands. I don't see that happening. Show the Stugna video? All right, that'll be the last one we look at. All right, we're going to watch the Stugna P. And this specific video, they're engaging at about a distance of 3,600 meters. So there's quite a bit of standoff here. Coming up for you guys right now once my PC... There we go. See the distance down there? See distance here. And that is the Stugna. Now that is an organically developed anti-tank guided missile. Something Ukraine developed and fields themselves. Ukraine getting their asses kicked. No, they're not. Three clicks. Yep. Long distance there. Long distance. Guys, that's going to be it for me tonight. Okay. It is short. Thursdays are typically short, but the live night doesn't end here for me. I'll be live over on my channel playing with some good friends. Having a good time, kicking back, having a beer or two, and just enjoying good company. Okay, so you guys are welcome to swing by and hang out with me. The next time you guys will see me live back here is going to be next Tuesday at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard, where I think we're going to have another guest. Tuesdays are going to be our guest night, right? So when we do have guests, we'll try to bring them on Tuesdays. That way we can have discussions with our partners that we have at Funker530, along with maybe even some special guests, some experts, things along those lines. We're still really just getting started with how this show is going to feel and look at its end state. This is not what we have in mind for its end state, but it is the most expedient based on what we have available to us right now. I love y'all. All right. No matter what, you guys are pretty awesome. I love the fact that this community did over $111,000 to humanitarian aid through merch purchases. That means the world to us. That means the world to us for you guys to press that hard. And together we were able to do that. That's amazing and great work. Stay informed, and we'll see you over on the other channel. Out of here.